Hi, everyone.
Now,
Hi, everyone. You are listening to We're Talking Again. Watch out. And I am Luann Morris, and I'm here with Deborah Colleen Rose and Eric B. And we're going to talk about weird stories today.
tell them how we know Eric.
Oh, Eric is a member of the Miles of Smiles event services. At least that's how I know him. And Deborah has known him for longer. Eric
Eric
does
and I
many
dated in other lives. We've dated in and out through the centuries.
in past lives. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think today we're going to kind of talk about weird stories that have happened to us. So who wants to go first?
Eric, go. We're turning it over to Eric.
Well,
Okay.
weird stories. But before you were recording, you were about to tell us a weird story. We all talked about how we were introduced to anything paranormal inside our lives. Whether it's a library, you saw something on TV, a Bigfoot documentary on TV, heard a weird tale from your parents. Deborah, you were about to say or tell us how you had a personal story about paranormal experience.
Okay. So this happened when I was very young, and it was like a sequence of events that happened that all at the time seemed very disconnected, but now I think they're very connected. And the first one was in our house. We had a German beer stein that my great uncle brought back from Germany. He'd been over in Europe during World War II. And my dad had it sitting out in the living room, and we had a very small house. We were very poor. So this was really a big deal to have this really neat beer stein in our house. And that beer stein, we would wake up, and this happened probably at least a dozen times, if not more, during a several month period. That beer stein would be laying over on its side, and there'd be a ring of water where the beer stein had been sitting. And that happened on and off for I don't know, 3 or 4 months, 5 months. Okay. And also during that time period, my dad bought a motor, a fake motor to put on a bicycle. Mattel came out with them, and it would make your bicycle sound like a motorcycle.
I
Okay.
remember that.
Yeah. And the switch on mine broke. So my dad fixed it to where you just take the 2 wires and you would turn them, twist them together, and it would run, and then you would untwist
I'm sorry.
them.
So you had to hotwire your own bike? Is that what?
I had to
I want to make
hotwire
sure
mine.
I'm reading this correctly.
Yes.
Your
I
father
told you we
made
were
it
poor.
where you actually had to hotwire your own bike every time you want to.
Yes, we were poor. Okay. I told you this. So in the middle of the night, this motor would just go off, and you would go out there and it would be running and the wires would not be touching.
So a malfunctioning motor that was already malfunctioning would just go off for no reason.
Yeah. And that's the way my
I
dad.
just want to, in case anyone knows, even though I'm part of this group, I am skeptical of things that are paranormal and that's out there. Even though I do believe in paranormal instances, I just think they're not as. I think they're rarer than what we think, and most of the stories can be attributed to personal perception at that time.
I agree. Because, I'm a huge skeptic, and I have been for years. I've only
No,
even
you're not.
No, I am a huge skeptic.
No, you're not. You buy.
I think
you
people
buy
lie
into
all
this
the time. I think they lie. They just
I'm not saying
lie.
you're foolish. I'm not saying you're foolish. You buy into this more than I do, and so
Well,
I know
want
you
it to
buy
be
into
true.
this more.
I
Huh?
want it to be true. I want it to be true.
Well, so do
Because
I. I want unicorns to be true as well, but I'm not exactly
don't.
sure if that's going to be happening or not.
I do not want to ride a horse that can gore me with a. No, I don't know.
Well, that's any animal with a horn. It's not just a horse.
Exactly. I don't want to ride a rhinoceros. I do not want to ride a unicorn. Okay. So anyway, but the only reason why I even started thinking about this is a possible, because I didn't then, and I haven't for years, but recently I thought maybe there was something to it, because in that time frame, my grandmother made me aware that I was spiritually gifted in the sense of that I could interpret prayer tongue. If you're Pentecostal, you know what I'm talking about. All right. And she also told me that she could see spirits. All right. And she scared the devil out of me, literally, because she said there was a demon in the bathroom. And at the time, I just took it up as her joking and kidding. But now I wonder, because she also told me that I have a 30-foot angel that follows me everywhere. And I cannot tell you how many times I have had prophetic Christians, I've had Wiccans, I've had pagans, I've had small children. I have had probably close to 100 people tell me in the course of my life, I have a 30-foot angel following me. So with everything going on with my exploration into spiritual gifts and doing what we do for entertainment, telling fortunes and delving into that arena, I've been thinking about these things and wondering if there's something there that is worth pondering, so to speak. So I'm not saying they're paranormal, but maybe they are. That's all I'm saying. And that's my truth.
Well, I like the beer sign.
Isn't that kind of cool? But
I
well,
do
here's
like the
what,
beer sign, and I like the fact that your father had to make sure that you had to hot wire your bike every time. So I like.
oh, there's a big story about the bike. First of all, the bike was pink, and I made him take it back because I didn't want a girl bike. Okay. And so he was mad because I wouldn't ride the girl bike that was pink with the little flowered basket. And he had to get me a Schwinn bicycle because that's what all the boys rode. And
Banana
so
seat.
well, yes.
Did it-
Yeah.
I had banana seat, of course. How did banana seat not make a comeback? That thing.
That's the most comfortable seat. I don't know how people sit on those little tiny.
I'm with you. I am with you. I'm in agreement of this. How did this not become? And
Especially men. How do you rest on that seat with your testicles?
Gen X, if you're listening right now, bring back the banana seat. That's all I'm asking you.
Exactly.
If anyone from Gen X is listening right now, bring back the banana seat.
Exactly. Exactly. So anyway, I would love to know what you think of that story and tell me poke all the holes you want into it.
Well, I already with the bike motor I already did. I'm just the beer sign. I do like the story, by the way. I always I enjoy ghost stories that have that aren't, I guess, confrontational or that actually are possibly might have a happy ending. I've heard plenty of them. NPR used to do a series of them every year, like friendly ghost stories.
Yeah, why do they always have to be ugly people with, and demons and trying to, knock you down or scratch you or, what happened to Casper? I love Casper.
I don't. There was one on NPR that always stuck out in my head about a woman who lived inside our house. Apparently, I guess the house beforehand years ago was a home to foster children, and it wasn't like there was the kids were, according to legend, the kids were happy and fine. It wasn't like these children were being beat or mistreated inside the home. And I guess originally their bedroom was up in the attic, and they would hide her husband's shoes. And that was the first tip off of that. There was something paranormal happening inside the home. She would hear little footsteps or running on top of the ceiling. Her husband, of course, would say it's probably a raccoon or anything else like that. She lived there for, I guess, 20 odd years, something like 22 years. Every Christmas she would put small gifts up there and they would be opened and unwrapped.
Wow.
Cool.
So,
wow.
Very
yeah, I
cool.
mean, it was a happy ghost story, I mean, it was.
I like it. You know what bugs me about the beer stein though? Why was it a water ring and not beer? It's a beer stein and it's from Germany. Why was it water and not beer?
I don't know. This sounds like, I mean, in all honesty, it could be. I mean, it sounds like the moving rocks of Death Valley.
Oh, I don't know about that. Tell me.
Oh, it's nothing paranormal anymore. Basically, there's these giant rocks in Death Valley that have a trail behind them, like an actual trail, and no one's ever seen these rocks move, supposedly. And basically, the only reason why they never saw these rocks move is because when it rains, the few times it rains in Death Valley, if you know anything about drought conditions, the soil does not become absorbent anymore. It just becomes hard. And so basically, these rocks would actually skate on top of the millimeters of water. The rain would be just enough and the wind would be just enough to actually push these rocks. But
like
for
that.
like 40, 50 years, you know, and of course, no one traveled out to Death Valley. Like the reason why no one saw these things is no one traveled out to Death Valley when it was like raining heavily, like in monsoon,
Yeah.
like a monsoon style or, you know, hurricane style rain. No one wants to go out there and be trapped. So they would just come back afterwards and then see these trails behind these rocks and figured something otherworldly was happening.
Yeah, you know what it makes me think of? There's like some alien force underneath the ground, and they got this huge magnet, and they're moving these rocks back and forth just to screw with us. Let's make them wonder what's going on.
Luann, paranormal story from your youth, or?
Well, do you think that when you receive messages, that's paranormal? Or
You
is
must be
that,
talking to Deborah because I don't receive messages. So
oh, okay. So the
Talk to
paranormal,
me, I'm the crazy one.
apparently. So I worked in a biology lab, and I was helping students with an EEG, which is recording waves of the brain. These are anatomy students. And one of the things we do is thread a needle, and we record what happens to the brain waves as they're concentrating. So I started making fun of my mother because as she got older, she couldn't see to put the thread through. And so I'm talking about this story about my mother and how I said, okay, now I'm becoming my mother. And I feel a hand on my shoulder,
Oh,
and I turn around and there is no one there. And this isn't a lab full of people, but the hand on my shoulder came as I was talking about my mother.
well, you're lucky she didn't knock you in your face for talking about her. That'll teach you for laughing at me about that needle.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was no one behind me. And when I turned around, there's no one to look at. So,
Yeah, but how did you feel? Did you get a creepy feeling? Did it make you happy? Did you get chills?
because at first, I'm there to direct the lab. And so people are constantly asking me questions or wanting me to tell them something, or, so it was not unusual that I thought somebody was trying to get my attention. But when there was no one there, I was like, okay, Mom, yeah, I understand. I just felt like she was letting me know, yeah, now you know how I felt.
All right,
So,
poke holes in it, Eric. Poke holes in it. Poke holes in it.
say what?
Poke the holes in her story. Tell her all the
Oh.
reasons why.
I mean, anytime we have a loved one that passes away or anything else like that, synaptic responses on how they, from scent to hearing to even touch, can be triggered off. It's not unusual. I mean, think about when ants crawling on top of you or anything else like that. If you've ever experienced that once, you don't have to have ants crawling on top of you to know what that feels like. You can recreate that imagery inside your head to the point in which you can actually feel ants crawling on your hand. And psychological and scientific studies, we've done so about talking about how to just temperature of your hand, thinking about it getting hot or warm, how it can raise literally your blood can literally go to that area and raise or lower the temperature. And not by usual, I mean, it's not like 20 or 30 degrees difference, but calculable measurements are being made. So yeah, I mean, a passing of a loved one, thinking about your mother at the time, anything else like that, yeah, and I'm sure, hopefully, Luann, your mother was an affectionate woman who did touch you.
yeah.
I would only find the story unusual if your mother, my mother never touched me ever once. I never got within 3 feet of, that would be, but yeah, with that idea, yeah, of course you would feel your mother's love or touch at that moment. I hope it was really your mother's touching you and coming on through.
So you don't get
because
any kind of messages at all, Eric?
Say what?
You don't get any kind of messages at all?
No.
See, so to clarify to
Hold
one
on. Let's. Okay. If I am doing a reading for whatever reason, I will get. And if I had usually a shot of alcohol, I will, and it could be the alcohol. Who knows? I will hear words in my head that are not my voice. That's not my internal dialogue. That's the closest I've ever gotten.
I'm glad you said that, because what I was going to tell possibly the one person that might watch this is that Eric is a true skeptic. He will poke holes in any story you come up with, and he's one of the best readers I know. I only have great readers on my team anyway, but he is truly a gifted reader. And so it always makes me question if he's not getting these messages spiritually, then he is walking proof of the science of card readings, because there is a scientific way to read cards where you know exactly what the card means and you know how to put them together, and you're a great storyteller because you can build the story around the cards. Or you're truly a gifted spiritual reader and the cards intrigue you enough or trigger enough in you that you get a message to share. So I don't read cards scientifically, so I would put myself in the latter category. You know, I think Luann has probably got her feet on both sides of the fence, and I think Eric does too. He just doesn't admit it.
Well,
Go ahead.
when I was thinking about it's not really paranormal, because the day my father passed away, it was like a physical assault almost, how someone just, it was like energy being pushed into me. I felt it, and I heard, your father is not coming back, he's going to pass. And I was kind of cold from head to toe and felt like I couldn't speak. And then I jumped up and ran after him and tried to talk to him. And the more I tried to talk to him, the more he said, I'm just going across the street. And I was like, okay, I don't know why I received this message. I don't know why this happened to me, but maybe this is just for me to try to accept it, because I had lost my mother 2.5 years before that. So I was not ready to lose him too, but because this was 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 10 he had passed. So it's not really an opportunity to do anything about it. I don't think I was meant to do anything about it.
And so how did he pass?
He had a heart attack.
Had a heart attack. Okay. So it wasn't like if you stopped and going across, he wasn't hit by a bus or something.
No.
Like if you stopped and going across the street, he was not.
Correct.
It still would have happened.
You weren't a nurse yet, though, were you? You weren't a nurse yet.
No, I was
Were
not.
you? Okay.
No.
Now, I will say this: it's not paranormal, or at least I don't know. I wouldn't classify as paranormal, but I have a very anxiety or distinct fear of death and dying, to the point in which, like, at times it's kept me up throughout the entire night. Afraid to go to sleep type situations.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, everybody on my mother's side of the family, within a year out, every single time, were able to predict their own death. Not predict when they were going to go. My uncle, aunt, mother, grandmother, and I heard my grandfather too as well. But that was as a baby. But each one, about a year out beforehand, especially my grandmother and my mother, said the exact same thing. Looked at me across from the table and just said, that's going to be my last year.
Wow.
That was it. As plain as someone asking you to pass the salt. And every single time it happened, I did not believe it. I was like, yeah, okay. Thought it was just something that they were saying. Because at this age, I'm older than my mother right now.
So how do you
So
explain that? What's your explanation for that
I am
ability?
in fear of it. That's what I don't know if it was a switch that went off in their head. I don't know what it was, but every single one on my mother's side of the family, exactly, like they didn't know when or anything else like that. They just said, oh, well, this is going to be my last year. That was it. And did nothing about it, did nothing to prevent it. For my mother, it was her drinking herself to death. So it wasn't like she stopped that, you know? Uh, all my aunts and uncles also passed away through either drugs or alcohol. My grandmother did not, but she also said the same exact thing. And I live in fear of whatever it is. One, not only did they say it clearly, but two, they said it without fear or reservation inside their voice. Like they knew it was going to happen. And I like I said, they said it without any hesitation, without any fear or anything else like that. And then honestly, because if it was me, I would literally, I'm hoping if this is true and there is some sort of switch that flips, that I'm not anxiety ridden for the entire year worried about this type of thing. I hope it takes away that.
I was
Because
going to say, you think maybe you're afraid because you're afraid you won't know and you won't have the ability to prepare?
oh,
Is
I
that
don't, I have no idea. And this is why I say it's an anxiety, because even as a child, I was consumed with the idea of dying. Like at 6 or 7, consumed about it.
maybe you'll never die, and that's what you're worried about?
I mean, in all honesty, I was a weird, anxious child to begin with. I mean, literally, for whatever reason, like when I saw The Wizard of Oz, and then all of a sudden they talked about tornado, it was my first indication that like tornadoes were real. Like as a kid, like at 5 years old, that wasn't just a movie thing. Like quicksand, in cartoons, I saw quicksand in cartoons. I thought that was just a cartoon thing. I was shocked when I found out quicksand was actually really existed in life.
And I've never seen it in real life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, so there was no quicksand for me as a child. That concept was only a cartoon concept. So watching The Wizard of Oz, tornadoes was a movie concept for me. You know?
You know what's funny though is that you mentioned The Wizard of Oz, and why that's funniest to me is that every time I see you, I think of the traveling fortune teller that turned out to be the wizard in the other world. I always think
Really?
the two.
I've always related to the scarecrow more often in my own personal life.
Physically, you look like the scarecrow more.
Thank you. That's always.
He is very sinewy. He's very thin and very sinewy, though. I mean, he's very strong. He's got some guns. Oh my God! But that's why I know we've dated in a past life. But I do. There's something about your energy and the way that I relate to when I see on the screen there. I've always connected the two of y'all together, even before I knew much about you. So that's just intriguing to me.
But yeah, like I was saying, even as a child, when the first time I heard about tornadoes on the news that my parents were watching, I immediately, it was just like, I was like building a fort.
And see, I was the kid was working inside looking
preparation.
for the tornado, waiting for the tornado to come by.
And it's not like Pennsylvania or Philadelphia was known for tornadoes. Like that's just that area of the country is just not known for. So as a child, I would get really anxious about things, and then all of a sudden, like just hyper focus on it for whatever reason. Like that was going to be a thing that was going to happen.
That's
but
hilarious.
Yeah, for some other reason, each one of my on my mother's side predicted. Like they knew within a year. They're like, "Yep, it's going to be my last year." Every single one of them passed within either two to 3 days after the day that they said that, or 2 to 3 days beforehand.
Well, on the other side of that coin, I know when people in my family are going to die, even the people I don't know well. I just know. I usually know, usually it's like a week in advance at the most, usually 2 or 3 days. And when my brother died, I had a dream about him dying, and I woke up when I had that dream and made note of the time, and that was the time of his death that the coroner put on his death certificate. things like that. So I don't know what that means. And I don't know what the point of that is, but just like Luann knowing something was going to happen to your dad, I don't understand what the point of that is. That's also
So
how
let me ask you this. Would you, so you say you saw the numbers on the death certificate in a dream, correct?
No. When I made note of the time when I woke up from the dream.
Oh,
And
okay.
then got the death certificate back. It was the same time on the death certificate as when I woke up from the dream. Do you understand now?
Yeah. Would you use those numbers to play the lottery?
No. And that never occurred to me. That never, why? Why would I
Well,
do that?
the whole idea, the idea of taking something that is negative, turning into a positive,
Oh,
something
well,
that's
yeah.
given to you.
I should collect all the death certificates in our family. We could buy like 30 tickets.
I'm telling you, you got something there. If something is taken away, it can be given back.
Oh my gosh. And I've had a near-death experience. You know that, right? We've talked about that, right? Haven't we?
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
And my brother and my grandmother and my previous husband, all three were there. And I conversed with them. I'm just waiting for him to say something. We'll just sit here and have dead air.
How would you like to comment on something like that?
Say, okay, I would like to say, oh, that's interesting, or oh, gee, Deborah, I think that's bullshit. I don't care.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, gee, Jeb, that's bullshit. There you go. I covered both.
Well, there are other people besides Deborah who have said the same thing.
That's bullshit? No.
No. that they were watching their own body as they were trying to be revived, or that they had surgery and they felt like they were looking from the ceiling down to see the surgery. I mean, there are all kinds of experiences like that.
Yeah, I didn't see my body, just so that we can be clear on that. Once I was out of there, I was kind of done with it until I decided to come back. I was given a choice. That's why my family met me. They said, we're here to stop you because you have a choice to make and we can take you on in. And what got me, and this has always troubled me, this is what's troubled me, is that there were shadows, like silhouettes of people that you can't see clearly. Like if you're wandering around in a haunted house where there's a lot of fog, you can tell that their bodies moving around, but you don't really see them. And that's what this looked like. And there was like thousands of these people wandering around. And they said, we're stopped. But yet there was this clear path that you could see down very clearly, and nobody was standing in that path. Everything was over here and over here. And they said to me, we're here. And I just felt really wonderful. I felt joyful. I was peaceful. I didn't hurt anymore because, I carry a lot of physical pain in my body every day. And they said, but wait, you can stay and we'll go on, or you can go back. And the choice is yours. That's what has always intrigued me about my personal experience, is that I was given a choice.
And why did you come back? If that was the choice.
This is a real stupid answer. I had just rescued a dog about a year ago before that. And I loved this dog. There was just a bond between me and this dog that was just outrageous. And he had the equivalent of what the vet said was HIV in dogs. He had an autoimmune disease and it was killing him. And he was already supposed to be dead, but I was keeping him alive, the vet felt, by giving him this excellent care. I was treating him with essential oils and doing all these special things because I just really love this dog. This dog never made a sound the whole time I had him prior to this point. Never barked, never made a sound. And all of a sudden I heard what sounded like a line roaring, like the MGM line. That's what it sounded like. I went, what is that? Are there lines here? And then I heard it again. And my brother goes, no, that's your dog, Seamus. And I said, oh, well, I've got to go back then because he needs me. And he roared again. And I said, okay, it's time for me to go back. And then I was immediately back in my body. But this was the scary part. This is where I panicked. I did panic in this process. I couldn't open my eyes. I had my pain. I was back in my body and I could not open my eyes. And my dog is over here having hysterics. He's looking at, because I'm laying out in the driveway. I'm in the driveway of my house and he's in the back room looking at me through the patio door. And he's just having hysterics. And I'm like, open your eyes, Deborah, open your eyes, Deborah, open your eyes, Deborah. And they won't open. And I can't move. So I can't move. And I said, God, you gave me a chance to come back. You gave me a choice. Now you and I are going to partner on this. Make me open my eyes. Boom, they opened right up. And I literally jumped up. That's the impact. That's the part that impacts me of that experience. Not what I saw when I was having the out of body shit and all that stuff. Don't make that face. What did you do that for? And it was that part of the experience that really impacted me, because then I lost my power of speech and they took me to the hospital. And Scott has never told me what they shared with him, but I could hear Scott having, I don't know how to, I mean, he was wailing. It was like banshees wailing in the hallway of the hospital. So I think that they told him that I was really, really hurt or was maybe going to even die, because they called my son up there. My son's up there, Scott's there, and I'm in the trauma unit. And then I had a whole incredible experience there that got my speech back. And again, during that experience, I said, okay, God, I'm here for a purpose. I need to talk. And after not being able to talk for 7 hours, my speech came back immediately. I mean, not a little bit, immediately.
So did they think that you had a stroke?
I don't know what they think. No one ever has told me.
Oh.
I think that they thought I was permanently brain damaged, is what I think, because I got hit in the head. I got hit in the head. I still have a big lump right here in my hand.
What did you get hit with?
Garage door.
Wait, automatic or manual?
Well, it was automatic, but it was manual because it was broken. And so I pulled the release so that you can close it. And they automatically just slammed down because of gravity. And I was trying to run underneath it. And I've done this a million times because this door was always doing it. And I was trying to run underneath it to get to my car parked in the alley, because I'd pulled it out and I needed to close the garage door. And I didn't make it that time. And it caught me square in my head, and then boom, I went down. And I don't know how I fell next to the door, not under the door. Otherwise, I probably would have taken my leg off or broken it or something. So, did we freeze? We froze.
You're muted, Deborah.
She's back. She's figuring things out. She's figuring things out.
I don't know. I think we've just lost our whole recording.
All that prime material?
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Double shot.
Well, we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up, and hopefully when I close it out, it will convert to video. Oh my God.
Okay.
But that was all prime stuff.
Well, I'm just a prime person. Amazon's got nothing on me. Okay, we have had so much trouble with Zoom today. You guys just have no idea the hell that we have been through trying to make this happen today.
It was crazy.
Well, in case anyone is watching this in the future, Deborah got hit in the head with a garage door. If you are out there and you're fans of horror movies, Final Destination Israel, we witnessed it today.
Final Destination, what is that about? Is that a movie?
Yeah, oh my God. See, and this is what we need to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Horror movies that relate to our industry. Final Destination is a series of 5 films, I believe. I think there's 5 of them. And basically, it starts off where a young group of students are getting onto a plane. They're taking a trip, and all of a sudden, one of the students has a vision. Like he falls asleep, and then all of a sudden, the plane is on fire in the most horrific way. Everybody dies. He flips out so bad over this that they kick everybody, him and his group, out off the flight. Okay. And as they're talking to the police about him freaking out, he's talking about, no, this really happened. This wasn't a dream. It really happened. And in the background, the plane blows up in midair. So now all of a sudden, they survived. These young group of kids and teachers survived. As the days are going on by now, people are dying mysteriously. And the reason why is because he cheated death. That's the whole premise of the movie. He cheated death, and death will find a way to come for you. It is your final destination. And all these movies are based on that. What makes the movies so great is that as the movies progress from sequel to sequel, of course, each movie just jacks up not only the death rate, but also how people die. So it turns into this weird conglomerate of a Rube Goldberg machine of death. A prime example would be someone dies in a warehouse, but you would think, oh my God, this person dies in a warehouse. This should be easy. He just gets hit by a forklift or something like that. No, that's not what happens. Someone driving a forklift across the warehouse sets off a chain of events into which a shelving unit falls on over, hits a pallet jack. The pallet jack then also flips on over, hits something on else. Afterwards, then hits a nail gun, which internally just shoots nails out. And it's a whole, no, it gets ridiculous. All the movies are great. 5th one is absolutely my favorite one because the 5th one actually ties into the first movie. It's brilliant. Final Destination.
Okay, I gotta watch this stuff just because
I have them all on Blu-ray. They're all fabulous. Each one is fantastic. I believe they're on HBO Max right now, but Final Destination, folks, if you've not watched that, fantastic series of movies. Absolutely ridiculous.
All right, I gotta watch. I do know that in one movie, one of those creepy movies like that, they're behind a log truck, has all those logs on it.
Yeah,
and the log.
That's Final Destination.
Okay, well, I haven't seen the whole thing, but my daughter sent me that clip one time for me to watch because I have this horrific fear of being behind log trucks for that very reason.
That is from Final Destination 2. That's from the second one.
And the other one is going off a bridge into a river and not being able to get out of my car. Those are my 2 fears.
Have you practiced the scenario?
No, because I think
you should.
It's inviting it into your life to practice it.
No. As someone who used to teach self-defense seminars to people and groups and everything else like that, it's not being paranoid, it's being prepared. Mm-hmm. If you have the muscle memory during the time, that's what ends up happening. It doesn't, and in times of crisis, at any given time, even if you are someone who has been in dangerous situations every day of your life, you can freeze at any moment. At any given moment, you can freeze.
I am prepared to a certain level. I have one of those tools. It sits in the side pocket of my door. Sometimes I don't know where it is. People move it. So you pick it up, you take it and you slash your seatbelt. You take the other end and you hit that window. And I'm good with that part. It's like getting out now, because I can't open my eyes underwater.
Have you ever slashed your seatbelt?
Yes, I have done that.
Okay.
It's hard. It's not easy. It's hard.
No, it's not. It's harder than people think. So
yes. So
That's why they have those little tools.
Oh yeah, even with the tools, it's harder than you think.
It's hard. So I'm just thinking, why can't I just snap it loose? Why does water keep you from pushing the button and getting out?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But anything literally in an accident like that, your seatbelt is meant to hold you in. That's exactly what it's there for. It's not designed to snap loose. So even in an accident, what ends up happening is that mechanism on the inside can get damaged, trapped, or even pressed up against its own self. But that's what you want when someone's
Like
hitting you
Dr.
at
Gloom
50 miles an hour. You don't want that thing to
Doc-
fly off.
Dr. Gloom here, Dr. Gloom and Doom.
Not Dr. Gloom. That's exactly what a seatbelt's meant to do.
It
Yeah,
is.
okay, so my other fear is, I'm sorry, Luann. My other fear is that no matter what car I'm in, and no matter how I adjust the seatbelt, it always hits me right here. Always. Because I have a very short body. I have very long legs, very short body. My other fear is that I'm going to get hit or run into something, and that seatbelt's going to go and snap my neck. I don't want to wear my seatbelt. I hate the seatbelt law.
Wait a minute. Now, I've been in accidents the last couple of years where I was rear-ended. And one time I was hit like 45 miles an hour. And the seatbelt, when it came down on me, it actually slipped to my shoulder because that was the angle. What happens is it's loose as you're driving and it makes its way up to your throat when we're short. Eric probably doesn't have that problem.
No.
But when I had the accident, I felt the seatbelt move down and strap me in. So it did not come across my neck.
That troubles me. It troubles me. So,
Well, I'm just telling you, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
well, that's such a positive note. Why don't we end on that today?
Okay.
I will have no seatbelt problem.
No, you will not.
Eric has just poked holes all into our paranormal situation, and he's been kind
Isn't that what you invited me on for?
No.
Oh, yes. She invited you on to be the skeptic.
No, I wanted to talk about something else today, so we'll do that next time.
Yep.
We're going to have Eric back, and that's because I find Eric totally fascinating and intriguing. And it takes a while to get him to warm up to get into those. We may have to give him a shot of bourbon before we come on again.
Well, I'm
If not, I'll drink.
I'm just hoping this whole episode records because it was really good.
Yeah, me too. That's another reason why I want to get off, because I want to see if it's going to convert. We had such a problem with Zoom, but I think it's because we're all such personalities of huge magnitude, and we have these wonderful electromagnetic fields that we just overpower anything electronic.
Yes, that's it.
That's it.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
Good. I'm glad you agreed with me. All right. Thank you for being here, Eric, and we will talk to you again in the very, very near
Bye,
future.
everybody.
And I thought I was really good today. Somebody better tell me.
Wait, is there an outro? Is there an outro to all this?
No.
You have an intro. You don't have an outro?
No.
You don't
And you
say
know
thank
what?
you for you don't say thank you for listening or
No,
to
usually we're just so done when we're done. And you know what? When it logged me out, I now do not have control of the room and cannot end this thing. right,
Oh dear.
well here, I'll help out. I'll leave.
All right, wait a minute. Well, let me stop. I'm gonna stop the recording. Everybody say bye. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
We're talking again and we're letting you come join us. Bye, y'all. Thanks, Eric.
Bye.